What's up, YouTube? I wanted to bring you another video on this series of insulating your garage. I've been fighting with it being extremely hot or extremely cold. So I finally decided just to beef this thing up and insulate everything around the garage as it should be. I did the garage door with the foam board. I'll put a link in the description. You guys can check that one out. You can insulate your garage door for less than 50 bucks. We saved quite a bit on that one, about 20-25 degrees. So here in the attic, I want to show you guys kind of what you got to do before I finish up this job. So first, you got your soffit vents down there in the very corner. So here's the peak of your attic. As it goes down, you have some soffit vents out there. So when you go outside your house, now you'll see an overhang with some little slits in there. You can kind of see some daylight going through. That's your soffit vent. Well, the hot air, the exchange in here, comes up your roof, comes up the top, and goes out. You most likely have a ridge vent, or you have some roof vents that look like this, or you may have both. Main thing is you don't want to block all of the airflow from that soffit vent. If you do that, you'll trap a lot of the air in here. You increase more humidity. It will defeat the purpose of everything. Plus, you'll get mold and accumulate moisture in your insulation. Once the insulation gets moldy, of course, that's self-explanatory. Mold's bad. Once it gets moist, it packs in, and then your insulation won't be near as effective, if at all. So first thing you want to do, you go and grab these. They're called, right here, they're called baffles, insulation baffles. You can get about 10 pack for like, I think 12 bucks, but I got them right now. Of course, everything during COVID is a little bit more expensive. Then what I've done, decided to do a radiant barrier. So as radiant barrier, I use two 48 width sections and two 16 width sections, and it made it a little easier to go around some of these areas. When you're all done, what you want to do is you're going to cover up those first set of those insulation baffles. You'll cover that up with the last layer of this radiant barrier. It goes all the way down. I haven't put that last piece on because then you wouldn't be able to see it. When you're all finished, actually I'll show you too. When you come up to these supports here, you just want to cut a T. You cut a line straight down where it goes across, and a T across left to right, and it'll go wrap around each one of these posts as you go up. When you're all done, you want to do the front side here. If you want to beef this up even more, you can do a gable fan. You add a gable fan right here. That's going to pull out all of the hot air and shove it outside the house. I'm seeing a lot of difference already just out of what I've done with the radiant barrier and the insulation alone. I'm not sure if I'm going to need a gable fan yet, but we'll see. So far on the left side of the house, I've already dropped about 30-35 degrees depending on the temperature of the day in my garage. So what you'll end up with is this over here. So what we have first is one layer that goes right in between all of these supports. So your support runs straight down. I have a bunch of 2x6s laid out so that way you don't go through the ceiling, of course. I use 2x6s right now. You can use 3/4 inch plywood. With the way things are right now with lumber, it was cheaper to buy 2x6s or 2x12s than it is to buy plywood right now. Plywood's extremely expensive. It's about over double right now. Anyways, once you're all done, you're going to run. These are already pre-cut. You want to buy one. The first section is going to buy faced. So this is a faced insulation batt right here. So you'll roll these out. You want the faced, the paper side, this side here. It's actually a vapor barrier. You would think, paper is absorbent. Why would it be a vapor barrier? But the way the exchanges are in the air, if you put that down towards your living space, so down, you're going to stop the moisture from coming through this face, and that way it won't get the insulation on the other side wet. Now, when you lay your next section down, so first you run them alongside each one of these supports, and mine are 24 on center. Each one of my supports, they're not 16 inches apart like most of your wall studs. So make sure you measure those out by the square footage that you need. You just lay those down, they're pre-cut. And what I would advise as you're laying these out, you can of course crawl out there on your wood supports. What I like to use, what I found actually really useful, I had an old extending or telescoping paintbrush pole here. I actually used that, rolled them up as this roll is, pushed them to the end, turned it, grabbed the roll and unrolled it back towards me, got it right where I wanted. Now when you put that first roll in, like on this side, you're going to roll it all the way just where that opening is. You're not going to cover up that actual soffit vent. You want to leave that open, or else that extra air exchange again is going to be blocked. So you just push it right up into the edge, right where your insulation baffles are. Once it touches those baffles, you stop. You don't compress it. You just push it right up against it, and that's it. Don't smash those up into your roof, or else you'll lose that air exchange. Yeah, you see a bunch of pipes and wires and everything running around. You just go underneath those wires and then over the top of them. You just separate your insulation however you need to. Now, if you live in an area where the temperature gets extremely cold, you know, -10 degrees for many weeks or days or more than that, you can insulate these pipes as well, these water pipes that go across. We only see negatives over here in Idaho, maybe a few days out of the year. It's never usually a problem. I did have these pipes freeze only one time. A couple of years ago, we call it snowmageddon around here. It was the first time we realized you had to plow or snow shovel your roofs. It was actually crazy for us around here. Anyways, it's usually not a problem. I'm not going to insulate ours, just because with the insulation I'm adding already, when this used to be bare, we're going to be good. So once you get down your first layer of insulation here, then you want to put your next layer, and these are rolled batts. So the first one actually is R15 rating. The next layer you're going to run perpendicular. So you have your first section running this way along with the supports. Then you're going to go opposite, perpendicular to that one. And again, use your telescoping rod to push those out there if you don't want to squeeze out, because if you're doing this by yourself, it's going to take a while. My attic's kind of short, so everything's on your knees, so it takes a little bit. Anyways, you want to run perpendicular. You have to run perpendicular, or else you're going to have, if you run it the same exact direction, one, you're going to have to split across all these supports, which is a pain. The other thing is, your cracks are going to line up, and then the hot or cold air that you don't want is going to go through it. When you're running them both ways, you're blocking all that air exchange, so they can't come up. This one, really important. Your first layer has one faced side. So the bottom side that you can't see against the ceiling is down, and then you can see the soft insulation up. This next section that runs perpendicular is unfaced on both sides. No paper on either side, okay? So you can see here, if I lift this up, there's no paper underneath there, okay? Make sure as you move this stuff around, you're not compressing it, you lift it back up. So we have an R15, we have an R30. The rating for this radiant barrier, they say it's around an R15 as well, but what it's actually doing, like a lot of your heat transfers, some of your, like even motors and stuff like that have this kind of deal in there. So these little air bubbles inside this stuff, and so you have that air membrane where the hot can't transfer through as much, but this foil layer, and it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be covering everything. When the sun comes in through that asphalt shingles, it's really hot. So it could be, I've been clocking the temperatures. If it's 72, 75 outside, it's 140 up here. On the actual roof itself, on the wood, it's 115, 125, something like that. Well, now when I scan this stuff, we're down to like 90 degrees. And by the time we go through all this insulation and everything, I'm sitting down at a nice, comfortable 70 degrees in the shop without an air conditioner on. And reverse in the wintertime is going to keep all that nice warm air in that you want. I'm going to install a mini split eventually. I decided to do that. I'll have an air conditioning and heating. I'm going to use the Mr. Cool one. It seems to be like a nice one. But as they mentioned, it does no good if you don't have an insulated garage. You can run that thing over and over and over all day and all night, but as soon as you turn it off, you're going to lose whatever you've been working on because you don't have any insulation. Or you don't have enough. A lot of times you'll go up there, if you don't have thick enough insulation, you're only running like an R10, R15. I was running a 0, but now I'll be running a 45 to 60, depending on how much effectiveness I get out of the radiant barrier. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Before you start your project, there's a few things you're going to need for sure. You're going to need yourself a nice stapler. If you got I wish I had a cordless battery operated stapler. Would have made this even better, but that wasn't something I wanted to buy at the moment. Then you're going to need definitely going to need a hard hat. There is a lot of nails, a lot of stuff sticking out, and they're big. I mean, I've hit my head I don't know how many times already on this, got stuck with some nails in the helmet. It saved me a lot. You're going to want some electrical tape in case as you're putting your boards down, you want to watch those wires. After a while, you may rub a spot open. I rubbed a spot open in one wire, so I had to cover that up. You're going to want something telescoping. Is going to help a lot. If you have some kind of pole like that, you're definitely going to want a fan. I'm a huge Milwaukee fan. I love this thing. I can run this thing for about 4, 5, 6 hours depending on what speed I put it on. It keeps me really cool because, like I said, it gets extremely hot up here. Last thing is, you want to get yourself some gloves. I love these kind of gloves because they're like $5 at Walmart. I'm not sure. It's a nitrite or something on the other side. The wood doesn't go through it. This is rough sawn 2x4s in here. That's the last thing you need is you're trying to lay around and move around. You get a nice big huge splinter somewhere in your hand, not paying attention, fall through the roof and hurt yourself. So those are going to be some of the pieces of equipment you need. Last piece, it only does so good if you have leaks in your ceiling. So you want to come over any kind of electrical outlets, get you some spray foam or caulking, start, and I'm going to clean that one up. Start sealing up any kind of air gaps that you have up here. Now, you can use your attic for storage. You can build some shelves and stuff like that in there. I was going to do that, but I've decided against it. I don't know that I need the room. Then I thought maybe I'll store some wood up here, but it's so humid it just warps the wood. So I'm not going to do that. If you have some questions, I can link a video of some good videos I saw that show how to build a shelf in here if you need that for extra storage in your attic. Yeah, so we're almost finished. I'm going to lay this down. If you have any questions, shoot at me. Like the video. Thanks.